Hello, everyone. Courtney here. Do you hear that? There it is again. This episode is all about exactly that silence and the importance of it. In fact, silence should play a large role in how you make careful decisions about your identity, as well as an important part of essentialism. You heard that right. We are not talking about existentialism, we are talking about essentialism. A philosophical belief that objects have a set of characteristics that one cannot observe directly that are necessary to their identity. We'll get deeper in that later. But for this episode, we will take a quick trip down Silence Lane. Welcome to episode number 20. Let's get into it.
Where inventing, passion, and hard work intersect. Welcome to the Serial Inventing Podcast. Bite-sized, perspective-altering episodes on serial inventing and beyond. From motivating key tips on product licensing to obstacle-busting conversations on transitioning to a full-time serial product developer. Buckle your seatbelt, because you're in for a ride. Warning, this podcast may motivate you to make wild decisions that will propel you forward in your inventing career and hijack more of your time for your passion. If you aren't ready to make it happen, then this podcast isn't for you.
In the early 1920s, the military ordered periods of radio silence, where radio communications were turned off for safety or secrecy reasons. The term wasn't used figuratively like it is today until the 1970s. In today's episode, and when discussing the importance of silence within the philosophy of essentialism, I will be using radio silence to mean complete silence. It's so easy to get lost in day to day tasks and responsibilities that often we forget why we are doing those things in the first place. And that can be problematic. When we get inundated with our daily to dos in our everyday lives, not only do the daily robotic tasks become very habitual, but we often effortlessly forget about our ability to choose. We can very easily go into a state of learned helplessness, and that is the most dangerous of all. Making decisions and remembering that you have options is the essence of essentialism. We often think we can just do it all, when in reality, we start to drown and still continue to say yes and overload ourselves. The first step of changing your identity, in my mind, is awareness, as awareness is the first step in many other aspects of life. Once you are aware, you gain this magical ability to do something about it. Now, actually choosing to do something about it is another discussion for another day. For now, we are going to focus on getting you out of the trance of your everyday mumbo jumbo. It's very hard to be bored these days. Often, when boredom happens, silence does too, and we get uncomfortable in that silence, wanting to fill it up with something. Maybe we feel unproductive when we are in silence and start to connect silence and doing nothing with being unproductive. Some of history's greatest minds, including Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton, isolated themselves at times without distraction so they could think about their life changing theories. They would create a period of time where they would let their mind just flow with thoughts and focus on a particular meaningful topic at hand deeply. For us these days, it would look like a blocked section in our calendar with nothing scheduled inside it. Simply a time to escape and think. When you have that time and radio silence, what's interesting is that as you quiet your mind, you can really start to hear yourself again. You become aware of who you are and what really matters to you. You finally start talking to yourself again about who you really are, what your identity really is. In fact, these periods of silence, even 5 minutes a week of radio silence, can spur a lot of conversation in your brain and excitement that you are finally listening to it again. Creating an environment of radio silence helps your inner identity to speak up. And when it comes to dreams, goals, and what really matters to you in life, letting your inner identity be uncovered and speak is the exact awareness we are trying to unearth. It was clear at one time, but often during the kid to adult transition, it gets lost and heavily buried. This silence technique was, of course, used back then, but it's actually a technique that a lot of successful CEOs use these days too. They create blank space in their calendar in the middle of the day, blocked off for thinking. And that time cannot be blocked over. It is a sacred space. And ours should be too. After all, it is you who you are protecting, your identity in that space. Anytime when you feel clouded with so many tasks and responsibilities, this is a good time to take a radio silence break and remember what really matters. And as we dive deeper into essentialism, I'll help you with that. Sometimes when you sit in this silence, you start to think of all of the things you really should be doing at that time. Instead of using this time feeling unproductive and letting the tasks fester in your mind, why don't you think about what those actual tasks are that are nagging you and remember why they are or even aren't important to your dreams? You might just start to think about if those tasks really are worth your time and are essential to your inner identity. You just might start shedding tasks. And that will be our next deep dive: how essentialism helps you be more productive in the areas that matter. In fact, the entire philosophy is about elimination, not addition. Are any inquisitive minds inquiring? Stay tuned for the next episode, but for now, your action for the week is to schedule one 10-minute break in your week. Just one, and no, you cannot commute, eat, read, drink, or fill your mind with mindless tasks during this time. This time is sacred, and for it to work, you can't busy your mind with mindless things. Feel free to have a pen and paper in front of you, but that is it. Silence gives you the space you need to compact experiences and be able to discern essential things that you do from the non essential. If this topic intrigues you, I'd highly recommend the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. I placed it in the show notes. Don't have time to read? Sometimes I don't either. This book is also on the app Headway, and you can read or listen to the most important parts in 15 minutes. Stay mindful, everyone, and try practicing radio silence this week. Thanks for tuning in and taking a few bites with me today. And remember, serial inventors don't make excuses, they make it happen. See you soon.